It's like,
Sure.
how do you distribute your workouts? I like, especially related to, I mean, how more or less, how do you normally train? How do you distribute it in the week? And if there is any change on your training prior to a super match?
Yeah. So my first love, was American football. And through that, I fell in love with strength training in general, mainly as it was pertaining to that sport and just general bodybuilding as a whole. That's been something I've been doing it since my teenage years, my younger teenage. So much to the extent that when I went to college, that's what I focused in: exercise science and physiology. So even upon like starting arm wrestling, I can't get away from the general strength stuff. And there's a lot of arm wrestlers out there who only train arm wrestling specific movements. I also train those all too, but I can't get away from general, core lift strength. I feel like, strength is never a weakness. And if you can be total body strong and you can also be strong in your arm wrestling specific stuff, there's no harm in that. So being unwilling to give up, you know, those general strength movements, I had to find a way to split my workout so that I was also getting the arm wrestling specific stuff. So what I've done is basically I have like a general 5-day split. Monday, chest and tries, along with wrist flexion and cupping. Tuesday, back and biceps, along with pronation, supination, and back pressure. Thursday or Wednesday is my shoulder day, shoulders and traps, and rising and sinking pressure. And then Thursday is light legs, back and bis, and then repeating rotation. And Friday is back to that push day, which is chest and then cupping and wrist flexion. Now, throughout, since 4 of those days are a repeat, the arm wrestling specific stuff changes. And for every set of general strength movement that I do an arm wrestling specific movement in between. So it's like a constant superset. That's basically the only way I can get the volume in is if I never stop working in the gym. So my rest sets are my arm wrestling specific stuff, or vice versa, how you want to look at it. So I do tweak that. I have basically every tool known to man, every arm wrestling specific tool. The funny part of that is the real basic ones that I started with are the ones that I have come back to for most functionality, like multi-spinner, wrist wrench, thin diameter wrist wrench, karate belt. Those things are
Yeah.
still the staples. I have all the other fancy stuff, and when I'm preparing for an opponent in a super match, I will tweak those days. I'll go heavier into certain areas that I think I need. I need to strengthen up if I have a long enough camp to do it. If I don't have a long enough camp, then I just focus on getting all of it stronger. So, and I do that, and then I have my arm wrestling day is Saturday or Sunday, sometimes Thursday. Very rarely, never do I do more than 2 arm wrestling like table time days a week, just because listening to my own body structurally, I don't think my body can handle that unless I'm doing just really light drilling stuff. I have delved into that too, most recently in preparation for a lot of these Eastern Europeans. Not just arm wrestling at practice, trying to pin each other and having a good time, but rather treating it with like sets and reps and working
Yeah.
on specific spots, holds, endurance in specific area, adding band resistance, things of those nature. And I think that has helped augment my game quite a bit. Having those training partners that are willing to work with me like that, which they're hard to find.
Yeah, more or less in my humble experience, because obviously I don't have I don't have the level that you have by far, my friend. But my humble experience as someone who's less than 5 years in this sport, obviously I found the same. I mean, it's like if I'm doing more than one table per session, I would be dead. So I would have to play with intensity one day more for movements, let's say range repetitions, like what you do in the gym or here. And the second day, most likely, if I go, I will go a little bit more harder rather than just one day smashing each other, which obviously is sometimes not the best in my opinion, not just the best way. And about the training, there's something a comment that even I know this, and this is a joke that some of my friends did. Like there is a little bit of Paul Linn in those trapezius, and this quite. Do you hear me?
No,
Sorry.
say it
Oh,
again.
sorry. There is a little bit of Paul Linn on those trapezius.
Oh,
So
there we go.
yeah, the question is like, your trapezius, my friend, do you work them? Do you have them like that for any kind of aesthetic purpose, or is for more, just say, arm wrestling purposes?
Well,
Why you train
so
them like that, or you have them like
so,
that, if it makes sense.
so I'm a big believer in trap, upper back, and shoulder development for prevention of concussions. Um, we
Yeah,
have our kids, our high school kids. We shrug heavy. We deadlift heavy up. We want that, that upper back, those traps. They all support the muscles around the neck.
yeah,
With concussions being such a big deal, and when I started training for football, basically, when I was 16 years old, I read like in a bodybuilding magazine about doing like, working your way up and shrugging heavy using power shrugs,
yeah,
basically maxing out and then doing a drop set right after. Strip one plate, 145, the whole way down to 145. So you got to think, since I was 16 years old, every Wednesday I have worked my way up to 7 or 8 plates on each side to do power shrugs and then done a strip set. I've done this every week since I was essentially 16 years old. So maybe a lot of that's from force of habit and OCD, but it started that way in preparation for football, and it just became like one of my top favorite lists to do in the gym. And now, as it relates to arm wrestling, I remember when I first got started, and I was a complete newbie, and I was posting questions and stuff online, and people, the idea of traps involvement in arm wrestling came into discussion. And I got, berated by a couple of senior arm wrestlers saying, like, the trap is definitely involved in arm wrestling. 100% is.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's not. It's just like a hood ornament on a luxury vehicle. And I'm like, okay. The whole chain starts with your fingertips and it runs all the way back to your spine into your core. So for anyone to say any muscle group in your upper body is not involved in arm wrestling, it's totally foolish. That's like saying your lat's not involved. So anytime your shoulder is coming up or being set in an up position and locked there, you're using your trap. And I know beyond a shadow of doubt that the trap is heavily involved in arm wrestling, because how many of you guys have gotten a cramp in your trap after an arm wrestling match or practice?
Mm.
I know I have, because I'm locking that thing tight. You got to think it's one of the largest muscle groups in your upper body. It runs a kite shape the whole way down your back. Is it the primary muscle in the chain? No. But is it heavily involved? And especially depending on how you pull? Absolutely. So a little bit of it's OCD why I train them. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's some aesthetic stuff too. Traps make you look bigger, but they are a part of the arm wrestling chain too. So mutually beneficial.